Okay, this is an overview of my new one, the Astronaut for Genesis 3 Mail. First thing, where can you find it? It comes under, obviously, my DOS directory, rightio. So, under People, then you'll go to Genesis 3 Mail, under Clothing, under Midnight Stories, and then finally there'll be one called Astronaut under Midnight Stories. So that's basically where it sits. Now what I'm going to advise to you is that you do not try and load this by loading up Genesis 3 Mail and then pulling the clothes on, dragging it one by one each time. It's pretty slow going process, plus it has the what these I have two presets, one for 3D Delight and one for iRay. So and why it's important that you use these instead of doing it manually is because these have limits on them. So all you need to do is you either drag it over or just double click, and it loads up. Everything's all preloaded. You won't see through the screen, unfortunately, not in preview mode, as iRay just the shader previews just block it out. But why it's important is because I've got limits on this figure. I've set lock the chest, the upper chest, so it doesn't bend. The helmet and chest plate all are locked to the chest, and this is to stop distortion. I've made it as free flowing as I possibly can, but it still has to have limits or it just won't work. So you can still just bend the chest per normal, and it was very difficult to get these tubes not to distort when I was doing this. So you can bend that as per normal, side side, same thing. Twist, yes, that's no problems. Also, you'll have limits on your collars, because if you just go all the way, it'll just go inside the suit. So I've put limits on the collars as well. And that's also front and back is got a few limits on it as well. You'll notice the arms go into the tubes. Yes, they do go into the tubes, but I've put in dials for moving in and out the tubes, and you've got to be mindful of this to get the authentic look. Those tubes has to be connected to the suit and to the backpack. Now the easiest way to get to those tubes, I've set this up so it's a lot easier for you guys to work with. So when you initially drag it into the scene, what you'll get is just this astronaut here, and I've set up dials on the actual astronaut under pose controls, and there'll be another one called suit controls. Now what these do are basically all your different, let's just zero this guy out again, so we'll say so this one, these in the green, these drive multiple clothing parts. So let's say we go the expand suit, so we'll just dial that up, and as you notice, the gloves, the boots, the backpack, chest plate, suit all puff out more, and they're all driven at once. If you wanted to, you could do it each one separately and manually, but this just saves you from having to do all that. Now, and I've also on here, there's sometimes you might have some clothing issues. It's one thing I would do is have the fit cover sitting on there all the time, because that stops the poke through of the suit coming through the covers on the top. You'll actually notice that the suit covers, that's what happens. It just shrinks everything out, so it hides it away. If you take that off, then it goes back to normal. But when you're messing around with different things like arms up and arms down, you might get poke throughs. So that's why I've basically put in a fit suit cover to hide all that in there. I actually may turn that on by default in the final version. So really, this is the place where you want to, if you've got any things to adjust, or like it just when you're raising the leg up, you might want to just have that out the road. It's just to help. It's just a visual look. It's covered up anyway, but in certain bends where you might have it up there and to the side a bit, you know, it might help give it a bit more visually a bit better. You can also, there's other things on there, whether you want to use them or not. It's like hide the pockets there. There's also hide the pockets for the top ones as well. The ones that you probably will use the most, I'm thinking, will be these tube ones. So you can go in, you can go out. Certainly these were difficult to set up as well, and you can also go up and down, so that's for both sides, and that's just to sort of help with the arms when they come down. You're still going to get, it's the same old story when you pull the arms down. Even with the base figure, you always get that poke in to the body, but it's to give more range when you put your arms to the front. What I have done is made some hierarchical poses for him. So we'll go back, we'll have a look. So there's a directory called Hierarchical Poses, and there's 10 of those plus a 0, 0, 1. Here's a quick look. Blind. I did that one so if he was looking into the sunlight he would just cover his eyes a bit. So I just turned on the iRay preview to give you a better look at it. The next one is just air check. And with the different ones, like the air check, that's for when he's floating in space basically, so that's the easiest one to do, and I would turn the shadows off on that one. The next one is discover. This is for when he's on the ground. Another one, drift. Float back. This one's just float. You'll also notice that there's a bit of a restriction on the head, because obviously astronaut helmets do not bend. They are stuck in one spot and they don't bend at all, so the head has to stay inside the helmet. That's why the restriction on that is on. This is spacewalk 1. That's spacewalk 2. And just an ordinary stand pose. And just a walk pose, basically. That's it. You notice I've got emissive shaders on his arm panel, and also on the suit, on the chest pack. Plus I've also got emissive shaders on the actual cameras on his head. Okay, we'll just turn the light. I've got it putting him face on, so we'll just turn the light. This is just the default DAS scene light to 0, and go back, and that's coming from the side now. So you get a look at the lights. I have got a light inside the helmet. Now I have got some material presets for that. Again, the presets are broken up into iRay and 3D Delight respectively. Sorry guys, only one set of materials, because usually astronaut suits come in one colour, and that's basic white. But under IRA there is another folder called lights. At the moment it's set to what I'll do is I'll just turn this right around the back. So let's go, can we do this, -90, so it comes from behind him. So right now I've got the, as you can just see on his shoulder, I've got the light coming from the back. So this is the normal one with the default light. If I make sure you obviously select the helmet first. The next one is a mid one, so it goes a bit brighter. And then I've got helmet high, so click that again, that'll makes it even brighter again. And of course there's, if you don't want any lights on inside the suit, just turn it off and it just turns to darkness basically. So I like the in the dark scenes I like having it set to high. You can also do it your own colour range if you want to. Just go into surfaces, make sure the helmet's selected, into lights, then you'll go down to, where are we? Right, emissive colour. So if you wanted to, you could change your own, red light if you wanted to. Give it a more scary look. Or green, it's up to you. And also I would put the luminance value. That's where you can so if I really wanted to bump that up, I could add an extra 0 in there and that pulls it up. So you can so you've got a bit there to muck around with. If you wanted to do it on the camera, same thing. You've got top and bottom lights, so you can muck around with that as well. So so that's basically what comes with this guy. It does have a Genesis, a Michael 7 morph works with it. Now why I haven't gone through and done all the other morphs is because frankly it's a pain in the butt. There's just so much work just to get one. It took 3 days just to get the Michael 7 morph to work. Okay, so but you can dial up the Genesis 7. He's slightly taller, but I've fixed up all the clashes with the tubes and everything, the backpack, the whole mess of things has to be fixed up for each morph, and it's just a huge amount of morph work for very little gain. What you're better off doing is just applying different textures, like Lee or some of the other ones. You just apply the textures. Don't worry about what the body shape is, and that basically will give you different character. Because the suit, it's bulky. You can't see what's happening underneath. Now one thing I wouldn't do, and that would be combined expansion with the Michael 7 morph, because while I've tried to get every possible position covered, you'll still get some poke throughs with the suit coming underneath. Even with the fit suit cover on, it's still going to get some of those poke throughs. I'll give you an idea what happens if you apply, because it's a warts and all thing tutorial. You might as well see what you're getting. So we'll turn down the Michael 7 morph. Let's see, Lee 7. He's a non-symmetrical morph. So we'll have a look at what happens with him. He's taller. He'll stretch more. And it appears reasonable, but when you get to the backpack, you can see how it distorts the actual backpack. So you can see that it distorts the backpack. There'll be other parts of the tube I think will be distorted, but you just got to be aware of this sort of stuff. If you have him facing on, you probably won't really notice that much. And plus you'll probably notice that there might be a few little, oh no, they write themselves. It doesn't look, you don't see it that much. The helmet doesn't distort that badly. It holds up reasonably well. So you've just got to play it by ear. You can see these will distort a bit too. I didn't do any of just the basic morphs either, because they're not perfect. They work reasonably well. Say height, I don't see like that's the shorter version of the height one, and they hold together reasonably well. As you can see, there's a little bit of distortion, but you got to take the good with the bad on these. And heavy, I'm sure there's a few people who will be trying out the heavy morphs. It doesn't look too bad. It holds reasonably together, but you still got the problem with the backpack, and you'll find that with most of them. So really, he's designed more just with standard shapes. You won't get any distortion. It'll work fine. So basically that's all there is to it. I'm sure I'll get a rap over the knuckles for showing anything bad or negative, but I'd rather you guys see what you're getting, know what you can and can't do. Remember, always when you're starting this product, you either click on the iRay run or the 3D Delight one, because that's got all the morphs supplied, all the limits on it, and it's all ready to go. And make sure you use the go into your posing control. Make sure you're under pose control, you're under the suit control there. You can that's the easiest way to apply, say, some of the morphs without having to go through and digging all through the different separate parts. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy it.